Okay, I just wanted to make a short video about extending the usefulness of your Leathermans with the exchangeable bits. Hopefully this time a Harley or a plane won't fly by. So, these flat exchangeable bits are probably one of the best improvements that Leatherman's made to the multi-tools in the last few years. And you can actually get both replacement bits and full sets of these style bits and an extension. But the thing a lot of people don't realize about these is these are almost the same standard as a standard quarter bit. It's just been ground thinner. So you can take just about any off-the-shelf quarter-inch bit and modify it to fit in this. So, as an example, here's a standard quarter-inch bit. See if you notice, it's the exact same pattern, just thinned. So if you take it to a grinding wheel and narrow it down, sorry my camera's not really focusing on this, you can actually make just about any standard bit fit. So here's a quarter-inch socket driver. As you can see, the fit isn't perfect, but you can actually hang it from it. It will stay in there. So, on the sides of the holster here, most of the Leatherman holsters have these accessory slots. It was actually designed for their extension. Here's another extension that I made out of a locking one that can take standard bits of any size. And number 0 and number 1 screwdriver bits, also filed down. So, one of the advantages of making these over a universal kit and using standard bits is that quite often when you have to get down into a well on something, these are too wide. So that'll get you further down in there. Now, so you can see just about the size of a full-size screwdriver. These are the 3.5-inch long ones, and the reason why I chose that specific size is that when you put them in the holster, they fit correctly. They're not too long, not too short. Now, one of these alone will fall through, but when you stick two of them side by side, it stretches the vinyl out enough to hold it really tight, so that won't fall through. Now this one won't fall through anyways because of the size of the head. But, real cheap way to add a whole bunch more functionality to your Leatherman. Now if you want to take things even further and make this even more useful, if you were to drill a single hole directly through the center of this without a bit in it, drill a hole through it and then tap it, and use a small thumb screw from the hardware store, you could attach other things in here. Now one thing I've seen a lot of people doing is taking small saw blades, replacement saw blades for electric tools, and grinding them to fit in the slot and making sure that they drill a hole that matches their hole. You can just slip it in there, tighten it down with a thumb screw, and have replaceable blades. You could also take blades from other knives, like say broken folders, and regrind the back area of the blade to fit in here. Same thing, through the hole. And probably one of my favorite uses that I've seen so far is making a hobo tool. In other words, taking a spoon and a fork and cutting their handles down and making them fit in here. So, that's a modification that I'll do later on. But, when you look at the case here, something a lot of people may not have noticed is that there's another little pouch right here. The Velcro closure for the top actually has been left unsewn at the top, so you can put a few items in here. Now, if we're running these bit holders, you might want to be able to carry a small set of bits. So you can see, these would fit in there. You could carry about 6 in there. Now the only problem would be the open top here. Even with the flap down, they could easily slip out the side. A simple way to remedy that would be to take a small strip of hook side Velcro about a 1/2 inch wide, and right along here simply loop stitch it to the top so that you have a little tiny flap that only comes down to about here. That way the top flap will still Velcro over the top of it because there's plenty of Velcro down here. The other storage spot is back here. You have this stretch section. This is actually designed for their flat bit kits. They come in 2 plastic holders that the bits slide through, and they can slide in here. As you can see, it stretches out quite a bit, and the case stretches out further for your Leatherman. Now, the only thing I'll warn you about putting things in here is that you can see my finger down there on the bottom. It does not go all the way to the bottom. It's not stitched at the bottom. You could, if you were real creative with a hooked sewing needle, you could either close the bottom or just make sure you don't put anything in there that's small enough to slip out through the bottom hole. The whole reason for the bottom hole in the Leatherman is so that you can leave it open in the pliers position, stick it down here, and the tip of the jaws will stick out through that hole. But that would be a good place to carry the extra saw blades, files, anything that you make for this accessory. Now, another thing that people may not notice about these Leathermans, this one in particular is the Wave, one of the most popular current ones, is this little slot right here. Now, the reason that slot's there is Leatherman makes a kit for a snap-on belt loop and a larger lanyard ring. The Wave actually does have a lanyard ring built into it. It's actually hidden down in here. You got to kind of pry it outwards with a jeweler's screwdriver or something like that if you want to use it tucked down in here. But for people that need a larger one for heavier cord, this slot was designed to be a removable lanyard ring, and the lock button for the blades acts as a lock for it, and you would tip it out at an angle to get it out. Now, this can also be used to mount extra blades and saw blades. And if you go to the Leatherman website, or I'll try to link it here, and look at the picture, you'll get a very quick and easy idea of how it's got to be shaped in order to lock into that. But then you can use larger Sawzall blades, or even hacksaw blades, any other larger disposable blades for cutting metal or cutting wood that you would want to add on could be snapped into that. Now, again, you could store them in that flexible spot behind there, as long as they're not small enough to fall out the hole.